Sahanau bhunaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta jana kalyane niratam karunamayam namami chinmayam devam sadgurum brahma vidvaram. So, since today we're going to be celebrating Krishna Janmashtami, I thought that I would speak about the Bhagavad Gita, because the Bhagavad Gita is one of Lord Krishna's most amazing revelations to mankind. And when we think of the Bhagavad Gita, we can't but think of Lord Krishna. And when we think of Lord Krishna, we can't but think about the Bhagavad Gita. There's so many different aspects of the Bhagavad Gita, but what's so beautiful about it is it has one central theme. The theme of the Gita is that it reveals to us our divine nature. It says that although you and I are born human and appear to be like this body, this mind, or this person, there's actually some divinity in us. There's actually a deeper layer to us. Like how Swamiji said, there are two layers. One is completely deep, completely immeasurable. So the message of the Gita is that we are divine in nature. Not only that, but if we stop at we are divine and I am divine and nobody else is divine, right? Everybody else is human, then it's a big issue. So the message of the Gita is really my real nature is divinity, and that divinity is what lies in every single being. Now, the beauty of the Gita is it has so many ways of saying it. It says it again and again and again. And sometimes when we study Vedanta, sometimes we get so tired because it's like it's all about Brahman. Again, you're talking about Brahman, again Brahman. But why again are they saying this message again and again in different ways? It's because we don't know what will hit the seeker. Why a seeker? Why is it so important for us to keep going to satsang? We may feel like I'm going to hear the same thing. But you know what? You and I will never know what's going to hit us when. And it's not that it'll just hit. It's not that it hits at one time. It's a build-up. It's building up, building up, building up. Then one day, in one satsang, one environment, something will happen and it will hit you really hard. When that happens, the real awakening begins. Awakening doesn't happen when we're listening. Awakening happens when we're deeply reflecting and in tune with the knowledge. Because listening, it goes in one ear and then sometimes it comes out the other ear. Sometimes when we go attend camps and people ask you, what was that camp about? We even forget the text. We don't know what we studied, right? How many slokas were there? What was spoken about? Sometimes we forget. So we forget what we hear, but we don't forget what hits us. So that's why all of these practices in our Sanatana Dharma, to constantly immerse ourselves in satsang is so important because we never know what will hit. Today, I'm going to talk to you about what hit me in the Bhagavad Gita. Many things hit me, but the combination of these 3 shlokas, or these 3 values, really hit me to the core. The 3 values that I'll speak to you about today in relation to chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. First value is humility, second is surrender, and third is acceptance. Because although we may have intellectual knowledge that I am divine and everybody else is divine, to practice it is very different. It's realization of the self is not intellectual knowledge. It is internalizing that knowledge and living it every single moment. So these 3 values are beautifully brought out in chapter 11, where Lord Krishna talks about Vishwarupa Darshan. Lord Krishna talks about this darshan. Vishwarupa Darshan is where he sees everything as that one Lord. Everything is God. Everyone is God. So imagine if we took away space, if we took away time, and we put everything together, that's God. So Vishwarupa Darshan is when I'm able to see everything together, cohesively connected as that divinity, including me. So when Arjuna sees this Vishwarupa Darshan, Lord Krishna shows it to him. He has a mixture of emotions. First, he feels wonder. What a wonder when we were watching the dynamic earth in the planetarium, or when we were watching the ripples by the ocean, or even when we were watching the sunrise this morning. What a wonder, isn't it? It's such a beauty. But then sometimes that immeasurability or the vastness of nature can also make you feel scared. It can also make you feel afraid. So Arjuna had this both mixed feeling of wonder and fear. Like if you're in the middle of the ocean and you're watching it from afar, it's beautiful. But if you're inside drowning, it's frightening, isn't it? So he had this mixture of emotions, and he was questioning, what to feel. What is this Vishwarupa Darshan? What am I supposed to do? And not only that, he saw all things. He saw things in the future already happening. He saw that the Kaurava army was already being defeated. He saw their defeat in that Vishwarupa Darshan. So now Lord Krishna starts to speak to him and starts to reveal certain things. So what I'll do is I'll read the shloka, and then I'll explain the value related to that shloka in this context of Vishwarupa Darshan. Okay? So when Lord Krishna starts speaking, he says, you can repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Kalosmi lokakshaya krit pravrittah. Kalosmi lokakshaya krit pravrittah. Lokan samahartum iha pravrittah. Lokan samahartum iha pravrittah. Ritepi tvam na bhavishyanti sarve. Ye vastithav pratyanikeshu yodhaah. Nikeshu yodhaah. So when Arjuna starts to question Lord Krishna, he says, who are you? He says, Kalaha asmi, I am the world-destroying time. Lokakshaya krit pravrittaha, and I am engaged in the destruction. He says, Rite api tvam nabhavishyanti sarve. I am engaged in the constructive destruction in this world. Because as we know, for anything to be created, things have to be destroyed. So he says, I'm engaged in the destruction of the world. And he says, oh Arjuna, even without you, the Kauravas will come to their destruction. Even without you, the Kauravas will come to meet their fate. Now this statement is very, very important. One reason is, we should understand, that everything that we're meant to go through, we will go through. And nobody can stop that. This is the law of karma. The law of karma is that every single thought, word, deed that I put out there, I will get the consequence of that. And there is no escape. Karma phala, or the fruit of karma, knows your address. It knows where you and I live. It will come. It's just a matter of time. Where, when, how, with who, we don't know. But all that we know, it will come. So now we understand, when we live this way, there's no escape. You know, sometimes we feel like nobody's watching us. It's okay if we do something, right? In the dark, like we do something, nobody's there. It's okay. It's okay. Like how when you're kids and you sneak food in somewhere. Even now people are sneaking food in the movie theater, right? Or nobody's watching. It's okay. It's okay. But we will get the result of that. There's no escape. So he says, oh Arjuna, without you, Duryodhana and the Kauravas will meet their fate. Now what does this mean? This means that, number one, the whole world will go on without us. We're not that important. Right? Sometimes we feel like we're so important. We feel like, oh, how will it function if I'm not there? If I go, if I take time out, how will it be? Sometimes it will function even better. It will function even better if you're not there and I'm not there. It will be even better. And sometimes it is important to do that so other people can grow. What happens when we become sevaks? We feel like we're always needed. We always have to be there in every single point. And then nobody else gets a chance to also evolve, isn't it? And then what happens is we also get overwhelmed taking everything on our own. When we should also focus on our own sadhana, we should focus on our own peace of mind also. Because only in peace can we perform. So, Rite api tvam nabhavishyanti sarve, he says, hey, Arjuna, even without you, everything can happen. Which means that even without you and me, things can happen. See, when we become very adept or very connected towards spiritual living, towards seva, we want to help everywhere, which is a very, very good thing. But as we grow as sevaks, one very important thing is also when not to interfere, no? When not to interfere. Go when we need to help, give your whole. But there's also some time when we're supposed to just step back. Let some people also take over. Because it's a cycle. You and I can't keep staying in the same place at the same time. So sometimes we get stuck there. And which also means, you know, in the house, sometimes parents feel, if I go, what will happen to my kids? Or if I'm not there, what will happen to my kids? This and that. Sometimes the kids will do better when you're not there. Huh? Just like your kids do better when the parents are not there. It's true. Sometimes they need that. Or husband and wife, what will my husband do? Or sometimes the husband is waiting for the wife to go and the wife's waiting for the husband to go, but they don't know how to tell each other. Right? So you voluntarily have to take that time and understand, sometimes just let go. Everything will function without you. Because you're not smarter than God. And I'm not smarter than God. There's There's a cosmic intelligence that runs this world. Do you see how perfect it is? How the sun rises in its time, and how the moon rises in its time, how the winds blow. Everything just happens the way it's meant to happen. So it's okay. You and I don't have to be part and parcel of every single thing. Know that there's a universal intelligence that's smarter than us. So, without us, things can also move. And when he says, Rite api tvam na bhavishyanti sarve, means even without you, they will come to their knees. It means that it's not just me. It's a whole system that makes things happen. Sometimes we feel like I do everything. It's only me who does it. It's only me who does it. We are so stuck in this, but we don't see how many are involved in making something happen. To have a camp like this, a building has to be there. People who take care of the seminary has to be there. All of you have to be there. Swamiji has to come from India. Gurudev has to be there. Bhagavad Gita has to be written. The ocean has to be there for Samudra Ashtakam to come out. You know, it takes so much to make something happen. And when we try to say, I did everything, oh, only I can do it, only I can do it, it spoils the beauty of it. Service is not meant for us to stand out. It's for us to stand within amongst everybody. The minute we are serving to stand out, that is not service. That's just trying to serve, trying to act like it. No, and some people try to serve and the picture is taken and they're like, make sure you show me doing this or you show me doing that. It's a very, it's not service. There's no beauty to that. There's no fragrance to that. So when he says, Rite api tvam na bhavishyanti sarve, means understand it's a whole team who's making it happen. And only when we're able to understand that, that value of humility dawns. And Gurudev says so beautifully, humility is so funny. The minute you think you have it, you lost it, right? I'm so humble, I'm so humble. So our culture is not meant for individuality. It's meant for that individual to go. Only when we understand how connected we are to this expanse, vast world, then humility can dawn. And only when we understand that there is a far supreme intelligence that works better than your and my individual intelligence, then humility can dawn. So humility means, even without you, even without me, this world will happen. Things will go on. So now, Arjuna is listening to this. Lord Krishna is saying, Arjuna, without you, everything can happen. As a question comes in Arjuna's mind, well, then why are you telling me to fight? If you can do it, Lord Krishna, you do it. You take care of it. Why are you telling me to stand up? Why are you telling me to do my dharma? And Lord Krishna says something so incredibly beautiful. So I'll read now the next shloka. He says, Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labhasva. Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labhasva. Jitva shatrun bhukshva rajyam samriddham. Jitva shatrun bhukshva rajyam samriddham. Bhayevaite nihatav purvameva. Bhayevaite nihatav purvameva. Nimitta Nimittamatram bhava savyasachin. Nimittamatram bhava savyasachin. He says, Arjuna, I am telling you to rise up. Tasmat tvam utishta. I'm telling you to rise up. Yashaha labhasva. Gain that fame. Jitva shatrun. Conquer all the enemies. Bhukshva rajyam samriddham. And obtain that kingdom. And he says, even if they've already been slain by me, because they will come to meet their fate, nimitta matram bhavasavyasachin. I want you to be an instrument, Arjuna. Be an instrument in my hand so that you become pure. Your mind becomes purified. You know, when we think of seva, it's not that Gurudev needs us. His work will go on. We need him. People think that service, when they think of service, I'm giving so much time, I'm giving so much of my money, I'm giving so much of my effort. Serving is not us giving something to the world. It's a privilege to serve because we gain such purity of mind. And so that's why Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, nimitta matram. When you're engaged in the service of something higher, the mind becomes so purified. So Arjuna, I want you to do your dharma. I want you to stand up. I want you to be part of this because I want you to be my instrument. Now, what does it take to be God's instrument? Think about, what is your favorite instrument? What's your favorite instrument? Anybody? Basuri. What else? Sitar, guitar, piano. What is something common in all instruments? This we've said in Gita. All instruments, if you see, they are hollow inside. Basuri, empty. Sitar, guitar, empty, right? Piano is also empty. All instruments, even this mridangam is empty inside, isn't it? All instruments are empty inside. They're empty. They don't have their own agenda. What happens if the flute says, I'm going to pick up myself and play? It doesn't happen like that, right? No instrument will pick itself up and play. They're empty. So to be an instrument of Bhagavan means first we should be completely empty. Completely empty. What does it mean to be empty? It means I don't have my own agenda. I don't. Swamiji asked us a very beautiful question. What is the best thing we can do in our lives, right? So as a seeker, what should I do with that question? What I should do with that question is ponder, contemplate, think about it, and to my ability, do the best that I can do, and after that, let go. Remain empty. And let everything flow through us. Remaining empty, there's a few aspects. One emptiness aspect is emptiness of worries, right? We talk about this all the time. Give up the results, give up anxiety for results. But what does that really mean? What does it mean to give up anxiety for results? So emptiness in one way is empty of worries in the sense that when I do an action, I plan. Nobody said don't plan. I plan, I envision. But I understand that I only have a plan and whatever I can do, whatever's mine, is only this moment. This moment is all I have. After I've done whatever I could do, rest, I can't do anything about. I can't do anything about. For this retreat, we planned this whole thing for the beach. We'll go to the beach, we'll have breakfast, we'll do this, we'll do that. We had such a plan. And I remember Nishaji, Kishanji and I went to the beach specifically one time before this because we were like, we want to check where's the sunrise, where is this happening, where can we sit? And that day when we went, it was so dark and rainy and there was no sun, and I'm like, I don't know how the thing is going to look like, We're so nervous because Swamiji is coming, how is it going to look like? So we planned what we could, but the weather was just not sunny or anything like that. It was just different that day. So, and then a few days ago, Nishaji messaged me, she's like, it may rain, so come up with a backup plan. I'm like, okay, you never know, you come up with a plan. Then we planned, and we went today, and it couldn't have been more perfect, right? We planned, and when everybody came, sunrise was happening. At perfect timing, the sunrise was happening. And after the sunrise finished, the tarps were laid. The tarps were laid. I didn't know who's going in what car, where the tarps going, but when we came, everything was there. And we sat down. Swamiji was there. We sat for meditation. And only after we got up, music started. This R&B music started, right? Right? Only after, not before. Only after we got up. You see the beauty of it? So that's, if I waste time in worrying about, I can't do anything about that. I have no control who's going to play R&B music. And there was something else on this side. There was that harmonium or something like that, right? There was something else on the other side. We have no control who's going to be in the beach. And somebody was doing this to sound detectors or something. All these people, but see how they came after our meditation session. Now you and I can't plan that. We cannot, because there's too many things that happen in the world. There's the sun, there's air, there's rain. So as much as we plan and plan and plan, we cannot plan to perfection and make sure that everything comes out like that. Just do what we can, and when we get there, surrender. Surrender and be empty of that worry. Right? So exactly, perfectly, it worked out. And we planned for the schedule. We said, okay, let's also leave some time here or there in case the beach takes too long. And everything just flows. So being an instrument means that. First is to just be empty of worries. That's the first step. Only when we can be empty of worries that we can go higher and higher to the next step. Empty of worries because there's too many factors. There's too many factors, and you and I can't control all the factors. Swamiji said something very nice in one of our sessions. We were talking about guidance of the Guru. He says you cannot control the human mind. If you and I are expecting somebody to be nice to us all the time, impossible. It's a joke, right? And we're shocked. Sometimes somebody's behaving weirdly, sometimes somebody's in a weird mood. It's the human mind, that's what happens. Nobody is ever going to be nice to you 24/7, right? It doesn't happen. So there are too many forces that we can't control. And you know what? It's perfectly okay. What we can control is our planning stage. And in that we should be very sattvic, plan everything, have a detail, have everything. Then after that, just let go. I remember that my mom had told me that her Masi and her husband, how they got married, sometimes they look at the horoscopes and everything. For this couple, they were such a great couple. I mean, you would look at that couple and you would say, this is what marriage ought to be like. But how they got married, they put both their horoscopes under the Guru Granth Sahib, and they let go. Surrender. This is our horoscope, this is it, we're getting married. Whatever happens, happens. Huh? Now imagine if marriage was like that, right? If you really had that thing when you were getting married. Now I'm marrying this person, I'm marrying that person, now whatever happens, surrender. Right? Just surrender. You can't control. Oh, is your, sometimes we're like, I want to marry Hindu person. I want to marry someone who's sevak. I want to marry someone for Chinmaya mission. It's okay. Right? So that's one aspect of surrender. The next aspect of surrender is to surrender our selfishness. To surrender our selfishness. So one, surrendering our worries. Second is surrendering our selfishness. What happens when we interact and act in the world? We say, I want my thoughts to be heard. How come you're not asking me? I want my ideas to be heard. I want my things to be heard. When I was reading Eckhart Tolle, I was reading Power of Now, studying Rahul, that we're reading this book, and he says something so beautiful. He said, creativity is happening. It's not happening because it's not that we're not thinking enough, right? Creativity is not happening because we don't know how to stop thinking. We feel like creativity happens when we overthink and we brainstorm and we do this and we do that and we have all our ideas. Creativity doesn't happen like that. Creativity only happens when we stop thinking and let everything flow. And this ability to stop thinking can only happen when selfishness goes. You know why? When I'm selfish, I have an agenda. I want things to go this way. I want people to recognize me. I want my voice to be heard. I want people to see me. When I have this selfishness, that work that comes out, it's such a low quality. No creativity, no valuable work comes out. You take away that selfishness and the mind becomes quiet. Because we have no agenda. We have no agenda. The only agenda is let everybody benefit. The agenda of yajna, let everybody benefit. Let everybody be looked after. Let everybody prosper. That's the only thing. And when I have that, then everything flows. That creativity flows. The best work flows. Raghuveer and I were talking about, we had visited Einstein's garden. And Einstein made it mandatory that in his office, outside his office, there should be nature. He should be surrounded by nature. And so we were talking about how at work we have all these board meetings, right? All these board meetings happen, and there's so many agendas. People want their views to be heard and everything like that. Nothing creative will come out of that. After that, they need to have a silent session also. In that silent session, all creativity will then flow. In the board meeting, very mediocre thoughts will come out because many people have their own agendas. But after that board meeting, there has to be another meeting. This is what corporate America doesn't understand. After that board meeting, there has to be another meeting of just silence, just reflection, just stillness. Then that creativity will flow. So when I empty myself of selfishness, then everything beautiful can happen to me, through me. That's why even in our Chinmaya mission pledge, it says, may the grace and blessings flow through us and to the world around us, right? So surrender means emptying ourselves out of worry and emptying ourselves out of selfishness. And what is the final surrender? Emptying ourselves out of this very ego. That, Lord, I don't even exist. Just you are there. I don't even exist. Imagine if you and I lose individuality in such a way that we don't even feel it's us. It's that Bhagavan is the one talking. God is the one walking. God is doing, like, it's God working through us. We don't even feel a tinge of individuality. From being empty of worry to being empty of selfishness, then to be empty of ego. That is true emptiness. You don't even feel you're individual anymore. Because we're so connected to each other that when anything happens, we're always connected. You know? There are those people who have this notion of, oh, what about my seat, my chair, my water, my food, my idli, or my vada, right? This, that. But there, when we're so connected, that is all inclusive. You know, that word my has to, if we still want to use it, has to come to being an all-inclusive thing. So first we will go through my family. My family. Everybody gets very, very protective. My children, right? When we had a retreat in New York with the Balvihar Manhattan families, I asked them, how many children do you have in this retreat? They said 3, 4. I said, how many children do you have in this retreat? And I told them, I said, every single child here is your child. Not just your child, every single child is your child. Then that is growth, that is beauty. So this word my has to expand so much that it becomes all-inclusive. Only then will we be totally empty. So, beauty of an instrument, empty. What's another beauty of an instrument? What's another thing we can take from an instrument? Is that what happens when you pick up an instrument that's not tuned? What happens? You the tabla, right? The tan, 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 right? And they'll keep fixing it. It doesn't sound good, right? And you take a sitar or you take a guitar and you're gonna go like this, and if it's not tuned, it doesn't sound good. And if you take up any other piano, bassuri, right? It doesn't sound good. So not only should we be empty, but we should also be tuned. What happens? What is this tuning? This tuning is our sadhana, our daily sadhana. When we don't do our daily sadhana, we don't sound good. We don't sound good. We don't have that capacity to be empty of worry, of selfishness, and of our ego. Because we've not tuned ourselves. We've not tuned ourselves. So you yourself will see, I myself will see, we'll see the days when we've taken time to tune ourselves. Whatever little bit of sadhana we do in the morning, whether it is our japa, whether it is our puja, whether it is chanting, whether it is silent meditation, when you and I have taken that time to tune ourselves, we're able to be better instruments. We are. And the music of the day sounds better. The days you and I are not tuned is like heavy metal. Our day is like heavy metal, right? So many things happen. But the days when you and I are tuned, it sounds like very soothing music. Like the music of nature. Like the whistling of the leaves, the air, the breeze, the water. It sounds like that. So it's not that the world, did something crazy and so many people are doing this and that's why I'm suffering. Hey, suffering is here. It's because we're not tuned. The music all depends on the tuning of the instrument. Only when it's tuned well, then that emptiness has the ability to carry that music and that rhythm throughout life. So, when he says, Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin, means, Arjuna, be my instrument. Be that which is tuned and be that which is empty. Then that music, life will be such a melodious thing, such a beautiful melodious thing. So this is surrender. So first value we talked about was humility. Next is surrender. Then he says something very, very beautiful. I will read. Now Arjuna tells us what the third value is. Arjuna uvacha Sthane Hrishikesha tava prakritya Sthane Hrishikesh tava prakirtya Jagat prahrishyatyanurajyate cha Jagat prahrishyatyanurajyate cha Rakshamsi bhitani disho dravanti Rakshamsi bhitani disho dravanti Sarve namasyanti cha siddha sanghaha Sarve namasyanti cha siddha sanghaha. Arjuna says, Sthane Hrishikesha. Hrishikesha is the name for Lord Krishna, the one who controls the senses. Sthane means everything is in its place. He says, Jagat praharishyati anurajyate cha. It is but fit that everything rejoices in your praise. Rakshamsi bhitani. All the demonic forces, they run. Disho dravanti. They go to all different quarters. Sarve namasyanti cha siddha sanghaha. And all the siddhas bow down to you. Sthane Hrishikesha. This is a very important line. Everything is as it should be. Everything is as it should be. Not one thing is off. Not one petal from a flower is off. Not one blade of grass, drop of water, time of sunrise, sunset, climate. Not one thing is off. Everything is perfect, as it should be. Why? Because everything is functioning on the law of nature. And the law of nature says, the law of universe says, whatever you do, you will reap the action of that. You will reap the result. So everything that's happening is the result of everyone's actions. So when we, sometimes how can God let this happen to the world? How come so much crime is happening? How come so much shooting in schools are happening? And so much injustice is happening? And what's God doing about it? God's role is that consciousness presiding over this law. You and I are the ones that created all this, and hence everything is just reaping its results. If there are people dying, if people are being harmed, if things are happening, it's because our collective mind together did certain things, and so things are happening. So if we want to change something, we should change it. Why is global warming happening? All of us have a role in it. Every single person has a role to play. When I explain this to the children in Bal Vihar, I give them a very simple example. I tell them everything has an effect. And they tell me, how is that possible? If I'm holding a pen and writing notes, and if I'm not holding a pen, does that have an effect? I said, yes, it has an effect. Because if you're holding a pen and writing notes, other people will be inspired then to write notes. I tell them in class. And I said, now I'll give you a bigger picture to look at. What if you're late to school? Young child is late to school. What happens? Breakfast is missed. Correct? So parents prepared food, that food gets wasted. That waste accumulates in the environment. Not only that, breakfast is missed, mommy and daddy are tensed. Who's dropping? They're fighting. You're dropping, I'm dropping, who's dropping? Right? To the bus stop or whatever. Then the traffic, something is missed because they're driving either too fast and going here and going there. Right? Then what happens? All this tension builds up at work. Then that person also takes out the tension on somebody else. Then that somebody else will take it out on somebody else. And that somebody else will take it out on somebody else. Isn't it? So it's a ripple effect. It's every single person's thoughts, words and deeds have an effect. And the way the world is functioning now is a combination of those effects. So it's not that we have to blame God or blame, say, oh, what's God doing there? God is that consciousness. It is us who have to fix ourselves. It's us who have to fix everything. So when we clearly understand this, then we want to become so careful. Because guess what? Everything starts at the thought level. Thought level it starts. When there is some negative, unwanted thought, right away if we can change it here, that would be the best. That would be the best. Change it here, change the direction of it, because once it comes to words, it's harder. So if I'm thinking something negative, if I have some negative thought here, listen to something, listen to some satsang, go for a walk, listen to some bhajan, direct the mind somewhere else so that that thought stays in positivity. Now what happens when that thought becomes a word? Words we can never take back. Ask our families. So many, all the soap operas are based on this only. 20 years ago, you said this to my family, and this one said this to my family, and that said this to my family, and they still remember those words. What they studied in Bhagavad Gita, nobody remembers. But the gali somebody gave you 20 years ago, you remember, right? They'll remember. So these words cannot be taken back. Words are a force. They're power. Sometimes we don't sit and think about that. So, sometimes if we're not sure what to say, just be quiet. Just be quiet. Because that is throwing something out to the universe. That is putting something there. So when it gets out into word thing, very difficult. You all know the rumors and all, very easy to pick up, right? What is the best medium of publicity? It's word of mouth only, isn't it? WhatsApp is like the mouth only, but now because we're in the technological age, that is it, right? So when I'm saying words, it's also words in social media, words on Facebook, words in this, words in Twitter. All those, once it goes out, and you see the ability of something to become viral in a few seconds, isn't it? Few seconds, there's such a big reach. Now, what kinds of words am I using? If I know that that's how far the implication can go. So at the word level, it's already out there. Now when it comes to the action level, so from thoughts to words to actions, what happens when it becomes to actions? You can't take that back. We do something to somebody, we, this eye roll or that never, whatever, we snub somebody or we do something wrong to somebody, that, we can't take that back. You can't take that back. And once we start repeating these actions again and again and again, or repeating these words, or repeating these thoughts, they become habits. As spiritual seekers, you and I have to be so alert at which habits are forming. Because when something becomes a habit, it's very difficult to stop. It's very, very hard. It's as though that takes over you. You have no sway over it. A habit is a vasana. Once that is formed, it is very difficult to stop. It's very difficult to break. So if you and I, as seekers, can be very, very cognizant of which habits are forming. And if they're good habits, let them form. If they're bad habits, then I should do something to break them. Once these habits form, that becomes your character. That becomes who you are. And that character becomes your destiny. So who's making your destiny? We are. Every step of the way, we're making our destiny. With our thoughts, our words, our actions, our habits, our character. Every step of the way, we're making our destiny. So if we're asking the question of why the world is functioning this way, or why this person is behaving this way, or why that person is doing that, just think that everything is happening as it should be. Because, whatever someone says, someone does, whatever, that immediate cause is not the ultimate cause. This is something very subtle which should be understood. Immediate cause is not the ultimate cause. If somebody was rude to you, or somebody said something negative, or somebody pushed you, whatever, that immediate cause, that's not the ultimate cause. People who are hurt, they're the ones who hurt. You will see in psychology also. Why somebody behaves so rash, why people have the habit of scolding, of hitting, of violence, why people have this, why people are like this towards each other. Because the cause, it's not that because somebody annoyed them. It's deeper than that, It goes back into their childhood, it goes back into when they're young. So the immediate cause is not the ultimate cause of why people are behaving the way they're behaving, of why the world's behaving the way it's behaving. That immediate cause is not the ultimate cause. So when I understand Sthane Rishikesha, I understand there's a deeper cause, and because of that deeper cause, everything is functioning the way it's supposed to function. And just accept. When I understand this principle very clearly, acceptance will come. The world is functioning as it should be functioning, and just accept. That's all. This acceptance is an easy word, but a very difficult sadhana. Just to accept. It's hard. Stop fighting it. Just accept. This is the way it is. Then if there's something I can do, do. If there's nothing I can do, don't. So in this way, these three values are brought out very, very beautifully. First one we saw was humility. Rite api tvam na bhavishyanti sarve. Means, hey Arjuna, without you, everything will go on. So don't think so high and mighty of yourself. Sometimes it's good also to back off, so other people can also grow. That is a true sevak. Humility. Then we saw surrender. So Arjuna asked, hey, if you can do it by yourself, why use me? Because Arjuna, I want you to be an instrument. By being an instrument, you yourself will be purified. Nimitta matram bhava savya sachin. So be empty of worry. Because there are too many forces we can't control. Be empty of selfishness. When there's selfishness there, no creativity will come. that work will be very mediocre. And finally, empty of ego, that I don't even exist. It's just God flowing through. There's no existence of the individual. And if it's just God flowing through, imagine what kind of music will be played through you and I. Provided tuning is there. That daily sadhana. No sadhana, heavy metal. Right? Heavy metal, some crazy, crazy music. No sadhana, it's noise. But with our sadhana, it's melody. It's music. And the third one, sthane hrishikesha, acceptance. That everything is happening as it should because it is a result of all of our cohesive thoughts, words, and actions together. These are the three values in chapter 11. You'll say the closing prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.